Awesome. We will get started in about 30 seconds at 6:05. Good evening, Mr. Garcia. Thanks for joining us. Alrighty, Monty, it is 6:05. We can get started. Again, thank you for everybody for joining us on this very cold evening. I feel warmer just being together, even though it's virtual. But we're gonna get started on time. I'm going to start with a icebreaker. And in the chat, if you can answer this question, but what is one thing you are excited about as we transition to a new school board? And as well as add, what is one thing you are worried about in this transition to the new school board? So something that you're excited about and something that you are worried about. Again, if you want to just add to the chat, that'd be great. Marlaw said, same answer for both. Collaboration. I was thinking the same thing. If any K1C team members want to add to this, go for it. Estella agrees with collaboration as well. Yes, there's a big positive vibe going on across the city right now with the new elected school board. So Ophelia is excited to have a new positive change. Collaboration, Naida says también, collaboration with parents and CBOs. Marla's a charter school mom. And it's okay if you don't want to answer as well. That was just to get us started with our presentation. And I think it's safe to say that across the board, we are all looking forward to collaboration. And hopefully it's definitely in the positive direction. I am going to, before passes on to Mani, I'm going to read her answer. But Mani is hoping to have more access to board members since now there's going to be more of them and they are tied to a specific district. So just having more access to those board members, communication and collaboration. All right, Imani, I'm going to mute myself and pause to see you.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. So here's a little bit about Kids First. Kids First Chicago's mission is to dramatically improve education for Chicago's children, specifically by ensuring their families are respected authorities and decision makers in their children's education. And we do that by partnering with families to help them gain the resources, information, access, and voice they need to achieve their vision for their children. So the speakers for tonight is going to be myself, the manager of community engagement task forces, and then also the lovely Naida De La Rosa. She's our associate director of organizing and community partnerships. Now let's take a moment before we start to take a. Oh, go ahead, Zelly. I think this is you,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Again, thank you all for joining. As we do every living room, we take a survey in the beginning and also at the end. And so if you guys can please click on that QR code to give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and put the link also in the chat. And this is just kind of to gauge how Living Room La Sala is going, if you're learning alongside us. And if you aren't, then we can go ahead and get better. This is the link. We are 18, so if we can be a little bit more than half, then we can go ahead and continue with the presentation.
And on that note, Zelly, I also just wanted to read another response for our icebreaker of what we're worried and excited about the board. Lakeisha responded, as a charter parent, she's excited and worried about how effective communication would be between us parents and the board, and how much, and how much or less will be included in discussions about our kiddos. I just wanted to read that, but continue, please, with the QR code. Thank you, Lakeisha, for responding.
Yes, thank you. All right, I put the link in the chat. Please take a moment. We are 19, so we need at least 10 surveys to go ahead and continue. Like I mentioned, this is just a very important part of the process of Living Room La Sala. This is kind of how we pick topics. We survey parents on how successful we are with bringing information. Is it digestible, understandable? There's moments for like a box that asks you a question of like, perfect. Thank you, Marla. If you do finish the survey, put done in the chat so then we can go ahead and get started. So far we have, let's see, one survey completed so far. Thank you, Maria. Let's see how many we have so far. It should just take a few minutes. 3 surveys so far recorded. I see, thank you, April and Anthony as well. We can wait 2 more minutes here.
And we do have more parents who joined us since we started. So again, for those of you who are just joining us, thank you so much. We have already finished our icebreaker, and if you can fill out this quick survey using this QR code, that would be wonderful.
All right, we have 7 so far. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, Yadira. We're close. All right, 9 surveys. All righty, so we have 10 surveys, so we can go ahead and get started. If you are still completing the survey, definitely please finish the survey. We're gonna go ahead and continue.
All right, this is our agenda for the evening. We just finished up our welcoming and opening survey. Then we're going to get into a breakdown of the 21-member board, district by district. We'll go walk through a few updates on the CPS and CTU negotiations. And then NIDA will help us understand how to engage with the school board. And then we'll have our closing poll and our announcements. Our metrics of success for the evening. 1 is to gain familiarity with the new 21-member board, who the board members are and what district they represent. It's important for everyone here and everyone as a Chicago resident to know who is representing their district and what district they fall in. The second thing is identifying ways to engage with the board as a parent or a community member. Again, understanding that we're going from a 7-member board to a 21-member board. We want you all to be familiar with the ways that you can get in contact with and talk to your board members. And then finally, understanding the current state of CPS and CTU contract negotiations. We know there's been a lot of news about what's been happening with these negotiations. So just wanted to give you all a little bit to walk away with about the current state of that situation. So now let's get right into talking about the 21-member school board. We know that this has been the most anticipated transition to take place in Chicago this year. The board has now been seated on January 15th after we all raced to the polls on November 5th to vote half of this board into office. And so now we're just going to walk through district by district, a breakdown of each board representative. So a quick reminder of what the responsibilities of the board are. So the board is responsible for the governance, organizational, and financial oversight of the school district. So here in this slide, you'll see some of how the board oversees in those areas. So the board does differ from administration in many ways, even though they are often used interchangeably. So the board sets the vision and creates the policy to strive toward that vision. The administration, though, is responsible for executing on that policy and managing the overall organization to reach that vision. The administration can make policy and budget recommendations to the board, but the board must approve those recommendations. And so I want you all to keep that in mind as I walk through this slide. So as far as governance, the board governs the district, so which means they establish policy and rules, quote unquote, for the district. Organizational, so they set the vision and goals. They hire and approve and evaluate the CEO, and then they also monitor progress of those goals that were set. And then financial, they approve the budget. So we know that there's a multi-million, billion-dollar budget that they have to approve. They also approve large contracts. So when we're thinking about our buses and our lunchroom, the food that our kids eat, those contracts they have to approve. And then they also are in charge of collective bargaining, which we are seeing with the CTU and CPS agreements. So now let's go ahead and get started with our district by district breakdown, starting with District 1. So this district is the far northwest side district that encompasses Portage Park, O'Hare, Dunning, Jefferson Park, Norwood Park, and Edison Park. All of these districts should have around 275,000 residents included in them. And so for this district, we have our appointed member, who is going to be Ed Bannon, representing 1A. He's a Dunning resident. He's a Deaver LSC member since 2015, and also the parent of 3 CPS graduates. A little bit about his past job history. He was a former newspaper reporter, and he also ran for the 38th Ward Alderman in 2023. Next, we have our elected representative, who is Jennifer Custer, representing 1B. She is a current CPS parent at Locke Elementary. She's also a former teacher and union leader, and also a school administrator in the Chicago suburbs and in Wisconsin. Moving on to District 2. District 2, this is also a North Side district that encompasses Lincoln Square, Ravenswood, Peterson Park, Woodlawn Woods, and Andersonville. It also includes, along with the far north side community, so Edgewater, Rogers Park, and West Ridge. Again, all of these should have around 275,000 residents encompassing in these districts. Our members on the board will be our elected member, Ebony L. DeBerry. She's representing 2A. She's a former CPS teacher, also a former CPS parent at Gale Elementary, Disney Magnet, and Northside College Prep. She's a former Gale Elementary LSC member and a CPS graduate herself. She graduated from Gale Elementary, Decatur Classical, and Sullivan High School. Next, we have representing 2B is Debbie Pope. She's a retired bilingual teacher. She taught history, ESL, and AP psychology at Juarez, Schertz, and Gage Park High Schools. She also was the parent of 2 CPS graduates and a grandparent of a current kindergartner.
Amani, we have a question in the chat. Oh, Nida just
Yeah.
answered.
Yeah, she's right. So the green check mark, for those who are wondering, is indicating they were elected. So if you see a green check mark, those are the elected members to the board, and the ones without the check mark are the appointed members. But I'll make sure I say it as well.
Imani, I have a parent that raised their hand.
Mhm.
Would you, is there a point where we can pause, or can I allow them to speak now?
Yeah, you can allow them to speak now because we're going to go through all 10 districts, so it won't be a pause in between.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Paula? Okay, so I think, I don't know if Paula is there. Alrighty, then let's go ahead and continue. Maybe that was an accident.
Okay, and if Paula, if you have a question, you could drop it in the chat as I move on. Moving on to District 3. So this district is largely made up of Avondale, Logan Square, Belmont Gardens, Belmont Cragen, Hanson Park, and Hermosa on the northwest side, and this also includes on the west side, Humble Park. So representing this district, we have Norma Rios Sierra. She is the appointed member. She is a CPS parent currently. She's a cultural events manager at Palenque LSNA in Logan Square. She's also a community activist and an artist. The elected member, we have Carlos A. Rivas Jr. representing 3B. He was a former CPS teacher and counselor. He's also a CPS graduate himself, graduating from Loyal Elementary and Northside College Prep. He also has multiple relatives who have attended CPS as well. In District 4, this is also a Northside Lakefront district. This includes neighborhoods of Lincoln Park, Lakeview, North Center, and most of Uptown. Our representatives, we have our appointed member who is Karen Zakor. She's representing 4A. She's a retired CPS teacher, a former CPS parent and LSC member at multiple schools. She's also an organizer with Northside Action for Justice and an advocate for sustainable community schools. She was actually a losing candidate for the school board elections in November, but now she is here and she's appointed. Our elected member for representing 4B is Ellen Rosenfield. She is was a CPS central office staffer, a CPS parent at Whitney Young Magnet, and a former parent at Bell Elementary. She's also the former LSC chair at Bell Elementary, and she served on the citywide LSC advisory board. She's also a former CPS teacher at Dulles and at Hardigan Elementary Schools, and also has been a substitute teacher as well. Now we have District 5. This is largely the West Side district, so this encompasses most of the West Side. It includes Westtown, East Garfield Park, West Garfield Park, Lawndale, and Austin. This is also the district that has the most schools in it, with 100 schools falling within this district. So representing this district, we have our elected member who is Aaron G2 Brown. He's representing 5A. He's a current CPS parent at Kenwood Academy. He's a former LSC member at Robeson Elementary and Dyer High School. He's a CPS graduate of Bennett and Wendell Smith Elementary Schools and also Kenwood High School. He has relatives who currently attend CPS schools. And then he also, fun fact, participated in the 2015 hunger strike to save diet. Representing 5B, we have Michaela Blaze. She's a current parent of 2 CPS students. She was the chief of staff for the Cook County Commissioner, Frank Aguilar. She's a longtime political consultant. She also serves on the boards of Westside Justice Center and Northwest Home Equity Assurance Program. She was a candidate for the school board elections in 2024, but she dropped out before the elections and was actually appointed to the previous board, and now she's going to be appointed to the current board. Now we have District 6. District 6 is is a really different district. It includes some of the richest and some of the poorest neighborhoods in Chicago. So this district includes the Loop, Streeterville, the near North Side and parts of West Town, and the near South Side. It includes Inglewood, Grand Boulevard, Washington Park, and some of Woodline. So representing this district, we have Anusha Datakura. She is representing 6A. She's a director of Citizen Action Council and a former bilingual teacher through Teach for America. She was also a losing candidate in the November elections, but she is now being appointed. And our elected member for 6B is Jessica Biggs. She's a former CPS principal at Burke Elementary. She actually grew its student population and came off academic probation during her tenure there. She's a former Burke LSC member, a former resident principal at Cantor Middle School. She's also a CPS parent at Galileo Scholastic Academy, and she has relatives who also attend CPS schools. Now for District 7, this district sits in parts of the near West Side, South Side, and Southwest Side. So it includes the neighborhoods of Pilsen, Little Village, Brighton Park, Archer Heights, and parts of Bridgeport, Armour Square, McKinley Park, and Gage Park. Representing this district, we have in 7A, Emma Lozano. She's a pastor and leader of Centro Sin Fronteras, that's also an advocate for bilingual education and immigrants' rights. Representing 7B is Yesenia Lopez. She's our elected member, and she is a graduate of Pickard Elementary and Juarez Community Academy High School. She's also a volunteer at Telpachali, Saucedo, Juarez, and Spry. In District 8, District 8 is a bit of a unique district. So this sprawling largely south and southwest side distinct district includes West Lawn, Clearing, parts of McKinley Park, parts of Bridgeport, and parts of Gage Park, plus most of Back of the Yards, most of Chicago Line, most of Ashburn, and Garfield Ridge, and then half of the South Loop. So it's a bunch of communities put into this one district. Currently, there is only one member representing this district, and it's Angel Gutierrez. He was the elected member. Angel actually sent his children to Catholic school, but he does have relatives who attended CPS. He was formerly the chief advancement officer at Chicago Hope Academy and which is a private high school. And he's a former leader at Catholic Charities of Archdiocese of Chicago. And for right now, 8B, we don't know who will represent 8B. Like I said, there's currently only, that spot is vacant, so there's currently only one member who's going to be representing District 8. Now we have District 9. District 9, this is the Southwest Side districts. They include Chicago Line, New City, West Inglewood, Chatham, Greater Grand Crossing, Ashburn, Auburn Gresham, Beverly, Mount Greenwood, Washington Heights, Roseland, and West Pullman. Representing this district in 9A is our appointed member. His name is Frank Niles Thomas. He's the father of 4 CPS graduates, also a former LSC member at Dune Elementary. He's a graduate of Chicago Vocational High School himself. He's also an Air Force veteran and a former streets and sanitation superintendent in the 21st Ward. In 9B, we have our elected member, who is Therese Boyle. She's a former CPS teacher at McKay Barton and Stevenson Elementary Schools. She's also a former school psychologist at the Southside, many Southside schools, and she attended Clara Barton Elementary School for kindergarten. And finally, we have District 10. So this is the South Side District that stretches down the lakefront. So this is encompassing Oakland, Kenwood, Douglas, Hyde Park, Woodline, South Shore, Burnside, South Chicago, Riverdale, Calumet Heights, the East Side, Pullman, Hegwish, and South Deering. So a lot of the Southeast. Representing this district in 10A, we have our elected member who is Dr. Shay Rhinefest Smith. He's a former CPS parent at Shoesmith and McCorkle Elementary School. He also attended CPS schools himself, graduating from Boucher Elementary, formerly known as Bryn Mawr, and then also he graduated from South Shore High School. Representing 10B is Olga Bautista. She's our appointed member. She's the current mother of 2 CPS students, also a former LSC member at Marsh, and she was the co-executive director of the Southeast Environmental Task Force. And as far as our board president, we know that the mayor had to also appoint a board president who was a citywide representative. We have Sean Harden. He is the former deputy CEO of community affairs for CPS. He's also a business consultant and the former director of workforce development for the city of Chicago. So currently there are about 7 parents, current CPS parents on the board, 4 of them being parents of color, 2 of them being Black and 2 of them being Latina. So before we move on into our update on the CPS CTU negotiations, I want to take a pause for any questions about our 10 districts plus our citywide president before moving on. So I see Anthony has a great question. Is there a difference between being in slot A and B, or do they have the same voice? So the only difference between being assigned A or B is actually where they lived. So if they lived on the A side of town, then they were assigned A. If they lived on the B side of town, then they were assigned B. However, the law says that these 2 representatives have to work together to advocate for that district. So it doesn't matter if your representative, if you live on side A, you can also go to the representative in side B and voice your concerns as well. So yeah, it doesn't matter what side of town you live on or what side of town they live on. What if they're assigned A or B, they're both having to come together and advocate for that one district as a whole. No problem. That was a great question, Anthony. Thank you for asking it. Any other questions before I move on? All right. So moving on to just some general updates on our CPS, CTU contract negotiations. So this is something that has been ongoing for the last few months, extremely important for the well-being of this district and our students. And so we wanted to provide a quick, brief update about what's been going on, because I know it's a lot that's been going on. So currently there is a tentative agreement to expand sustainable community schools to about 70 schools over 4 years. There are also plans to hire more English language learner teachers, special education staff, social workers, librarians, and other positions outside of teachers. There has been an agreement made on class size caps for preschool and primary grades, and there's still some ongoing talks for middle grades though. Commitments have been made to provide more staff for students with disabilities and English learners. They also have addressed specific needs of homeless students with housing support efforts. And the teacher salary increases have not been finalized though, but CTU gave the counter offer of 5% for the first 2 years of the contract, and then 4 to 5% for the third and fourth year of the contract. So those are just some quick updates around what's been happening with the CTU negotiations. Next month, our living room discussion will dive deeper into the CPS and CTU contract negotiations. Hopefully by then the contract will be finalized and we can talk through everything that was agreed upon and has happened. So if you're interested to learn more about that, please make sure to register for our living room that's going to be happening on February 18th next month on Tuesday. So with that being said, am I frozen? No. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Nida to talk about how to engage with our school board.
Good evening, everyone. So excited to be talking about this. I think this is such a great opportunity that, in this moment to really show up as parents and make sure that parents are in the room during these monthly public meetings, give public testimony, and also just come together as a collective to show parent power. So Kids First Chicago wants to help to support our parents as much as possible and making sure that you know all the steps that you need to take in order to have your voices heard. So how do we engage the school board? We know that currently we have office hours, we have the Board of Education meetings, which include the public testimony where people from the public can come and speak. We also have written comments. So whether you speak or you don't speak, you can always still submit a written comment for the board members to consider while they are discussing whatever the topics were for that month's agenda. For the future, we still don't know if the new members will have office hours in their districts, if they will, if the process for public comment will change, whether or not we will actually get a non-citizen advisory board as mentioned in the bill. Mayor Johnson is supposed to assign a non-citizen advisory board. And then we also have the Black Student Achievement Committee. And we're going to get into what those are a little deeper in a second. Next slide, Imani. So what do we know that has changed? Well, there used to be that you had to be in front of your computer at 10:30 in the morning, 2 days before the meeting, and you had to be ready to go to try to sign up. And usually those 30 slots would fill up within minutes sometimes, definitely within the first half hour. So for parents who worked during that time or are caregivers of other adults or other family members were unable to actually be ready at 10:30 to sign up. So there were a lot of voices that were not heard at these meetings. So we know that that's changed and now it's 24-hour window for that speaker sign up or registration. So it still opens 48 hours before the actual meeting on a Tuesday. It's the fourth Tuesday. And then you have 24 hours to register, so till 10:30 the next day, which is Wednesday, before the Thursday meeting. And then the selection will be random. It'll be a lottery. So we don't know who will be selected and who will actually be selected. You won't know until like Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening. So what remains the same is that the registration is on the fourth Tuesday of every month, which is 48 hours before the Thursday meeting. There will still be only 30 total speaker slots. There will only be 2 minutes allotted for each speaker. And there are no consecutive monthly speakers, and this was true previously. So if I speak at this meeting coming up in January, on January 30th, I would not be selected to speak in February. You will receive still a confirmation email with instructions, and you still have the option to either speak in person or to call in. And again, the email will give you instructions on how to do either one. Next slide, Imani. And you all, I'm really under the weather right now, so I apologize for being mocosa. Okay, so how to register to speak. You have an online option, which is recommended. So you can actually go to the CPS Board of Education website, which is written here, which is just CPS cpsboe.org, or you could just Google Chicago Board of Education, and they'll take you to the website. Another option you have, if you don't have internet or you don't have access to a computer and all you have is your phone, you could also call in to register. You still have the option of course, to attend in person at the location of the meeting or via electronic or telephone means. And again, you also have the option of written comment. So even if you are not selected to speak during public participation, you can submit your like prepared speech that you may have had, or you may not have wanted to speak in the first place. You can still submit written comment. I'm not sure if there's any questions before we go to the next slide. I kind of wanted to pause in case anyone had a question. Okay. Let me know, okay, Zelly? Okay, next slide.
Sorry, I am gonna pause you, Nida. We have Brenda in the chat. She wrote, interested participants also have an opportunity to speak at the agenda meeting.
Yes.
And then Anthony asked, can you speak on someone's behalf, on someone else?
So you cannot actually sign up and speak on behalf of someone. You have to speak for yourself, like you have to have been selected. However, one of the ways that you could support maybe an issue is that if you have a group of parents that are working together, maybe in a same school or an organization, or you have your own parent team that you're working with and you all have a similar topic, you could all register or get several of you to register to speak. That way one of you may be able to get selected, and then you can still register to observe. And if you choose to observe, they will ask, are you planning to stand at the podium with a speaker? And you can put yes. So if, let's say, 5 people signed up and we got lucky and one person was able to get through to speak, you can actually all stand up and go to the podium while that speaker is speaking. So although you can't speak for someone else, you can stand in solidarity with other parents. To Brenda's point, yes, that's not part of this deck. We also want to make sure that, see if there's anything that is changing with that process, but you can also attend the agenda meeting. And that information is also on their website. Thank you, Brenda. I think that's a really important point to make. So like I was saying, you can observe, you can choose to observe, even if you're not selected to speak, or if you didn't register to speak, you only wanted to observe. You can be in solidarity, so you can choose to stand with the speaker and show solidarity for an issue and or the group, right? So I think I just mentioned this. You could be there and you could hear a speaker talking and you can be like, yes, I agree. And if you signed up as an observer and you said you were going to stand with someone, you can go up and stand with them, even if you hadn't planned to, right? Which can get tricky. You want to make sure that people are okay with that, but it's just a way to actually be together in collective power with one another, which is the next slide, which is the next bullet. So being present and wearing a uniform color or t-shirt, for instance, it could be the Kids First Chicago green shirt. Doesn't have to be, it could be a shirt that, is from your school, that represents your school community, or it can be like shirts that you all decide to wear with a specific slogan. So, with the same message. So these are ways that you can show up and show your collective power. And it is so very important that we show up as parents and that we have parents in the room and that we send a strong message to the elected school board, especially now that we have 21 members, that there's nothing that they can decide that parents are not going to hold them to or going to challenge them on or push back if we need to push back, right? Like we're here and you're going to have to answer to us. So it is also an accountability measure, right? To make sure that they understand you can't make decisions without us. We are unified and we are here. So this is very strongly encouraged. The written comments for consideration by board members and inclusion in the meeting proceedings, again, is an option, even if you're not selected to speak, which we already spoke on. And written comments must be submitted between the posting of the board meeting agenda and 5 p.m. the day after the board meeting for consideration by board members and inclusion in the meeting proceedings. Go to the next slide, please, Imani. So in summary, we have a sign-up window, right? And that sign-up window opens at 10:30 in the morning, 48 hours before the meeting starts. Stays open for 24 hours. Still only 30 speakers, 2 minutes slots available. You can choose to have a language interpretation. You can also, including like ASL, right? So sign language. The speaker selection is random, and you can choose to speak in person or virtually. And you will receive the confirmation email sent with next steps. Very important that you register with the phone number you plan to call in with. If for some reason that changes from the time that you signed up and the time that you got confirmation that you can speak, there will be a link in that email or phone number that you can call. It will have instructions where you can make sure that they have the right number. Otherwise, you won't be allowed to participate. Other options can have someone speak in your behalf, and that's actually, I know, Anthony, you had that question, and I don't know why that's on there. My understanding is that you cannot speak for someone else. So I'm not sure how that got on this summary, but I'm pretty confident that the answer to that is no. So we'll have to update this slide. You can submit speech as written comments, and you can observe in person or accompany a speaker. K1C ESB member meeting. So we're currently at Kids First Chicago organizing. We're reaching out to all of the new members and offering to support in planning and organizing a meeting for them to speak with parents in their district. So you will be receiving communications if you're part of our mailing list. I think most of you are. If you're not, you can make sure that you join so that we can give you that information when we have scheduled those meetings in your district. You're also able to learn which district you're in at the website. I'm pretty sure we have the link somewhere in this deck, and we'll add it to the chat where you can put your address, and it'll let you know what district you're in and who your representative is. Next slide. Okay, so if you need help registering, if you need help, putting together your speech, if you need help practicing public speaking, or you want to make sure you get it down to 2 minutes, if you'd like a briefing on a policy, you feel like you need to be updated, you want to make sure you have all the facts, any help you might need so that you can participate in the Board of Education meetings, Kids First Chicago is here to support. You can contact me directly at the information that's shared here, which is my email and my phone number. You can also fill out a form that is a request for support. We are going to be sending communication out this month for the meeting that's happening next week. Moving forward, though, you will receive information, on how to register for support a month in advance. Then we will follow up with you in two weeks prior to the meeting and make sure that we schedule time for you to meet with a staff person, depending on what the support is that you need, so that when come Tuesday, if you need help registering, we can also do that, so that come Tuesday, Wednesday, you're prepared. You've been prepared and you're ready to go. And if you're not selected to speak at this month's meeting, you're ready for the following meeting.
Thank you, Nida. And we have some a little movement in the chat. So first of all, Anthony said you are a great resource. And we agree for sure. And then Yadida, sorry, my little mouse is going up and down. If a person can speak on behalf of K1C, it will they give a written speech or do I have to come up with my own speech?
Yeah, so any parent that wants to speak, you can get support. Like you can say, you can write your own speech and we can just help you practice it. Or you can say, here's what I'm interested, here are my concerns, and we could help you to like by editing, proofreading your speech. As far as a person could speak in behalf of Kids First Chicago is actually here in behalf of our parents. So we actually want you to speak from your perspective of a parent. And Kids First Chicago's only agenda is that we are for education equity, in particularly in our Black and Brown communities, those who have been historically disinvested in. Our main purpose is to make sure that parents' voices are heard. It's all about community governance. We want to make sure that the people who are most impacted by these decisions are actually in those rooms helping to make those decisions. And so for Kids First Chicago, I know earlier I mentioned like bringing your green K1C shirt. We wanted to all show up together in our green shirts because Kids First Chicago represents parents. It would be a show of like parent power, and that's always an option. But we would never like expect that. It's not an expectation. It's not like in order to get support, you have to wear our shirt or speak on behalf of Kids First. That's just not what we're about. We've never been about that. We've always just been about creating opportunities for parents to get in front of the people who are making these decisions, and with the goal of making sure that parents themselves are the decision makers. Thank you for that question, Jadira. Hola, Ophelia. I see I got PLF in the house. I'll stop there and I'll be like, PLF, PLF or any of that. So proud, so proud. Okay, I think that's it for me unless someone has another question. Okay, thank you. I mean, it's 6:50 and we're done.
Turning it over to Zelly to explain our final survey.
Before we do that, I'm going to jump in. We have some more communication in the chat. Excuse me. Brenda, this is from Brenda. Nida, sorry. Nida, I think you can speak on someone's behalf by reading the written statement if they can't read it themselves. Let me know if you find out more about Anthony's question.
Absolutely. That's gonna be on my top of my to-do list. This is a question that continues to be brought up, and it's important that we get the right information to folks. So I will make sure that we have that information so that Zelly, hopefully in time for Zelly to be able to send it out with her post living room La Sala communication. But if not, you will be hearing from me with an update on that point, as well as more information about how you could be part of the agenda setting meetings. Thank you, Brenda.
Also, Nida, if you don't mind, could you drop the form in the chat for support?
Yes. I'll do that in just a second.
Imani, thank you for your very informative presentation about the ESB elected school board members. There's also more information that you can find on Chalkbeat that they share some really great resources. And Nida as well, thank you so much for sharing more about how to, oh, look at this. Who is this, Imani? She was ready. You have Chalkbeat right here and you can find more information out about the elected school board members. So that's a great resource. And then I was just thanking Nida as well for your very informative session, because that's what we're here for, is to collaborate and give more information to our parents, empower them. Thanks for dropping that chat and the link, Amani. And I'm going to hand this over to Zelly.
Thank you. I already put the link in the chat, but I'm going to go ahead and put it again. This is the end survey. If you can go ahead and complete that, we'll do like 2 minutes. We had about, let's see how many surveys in the beginning. All right, we had 14 surveys in the beginning, and we have 1 so far for the end survey. You can please take some time to finish the survey. That would be great. We also poll at the end of these Living Room La Sala series if there's any other topic. Thank you, Carrie, that you would like to see here at the living room. Definitely leave us some topics. I do read these surveys and I add them for potential topics for the rest of the year. Thank you, Shamira. Also, if you are a new parent attending living room today, can you just say I'm new or first time in the chat so we know, and thank you for being here if this is your first time. Thank Thank you, Marla. And we hope that you come back. We have these sessions on a monthly basis. Thank you, Jasmine, for being here.
I'd like to shout out, if I can, Zelly.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
One of our parents, Carrie, who spoke at the last Board of Education meeting, she did a phenomenal job and was just so powerful. And if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Carrie, but I believe that was your first time speaking at the Board of Education meeting, which is incredible because you did such an amazing job. So I just want to call you out, and share with everyone that it can be scary at first, but again, we're here to support. And I do want to strongly encourage everyone to attend January 30th Board of Education meeting. It's going to be a historical meeting. You're going to want to say that you were there. So please reach out if you need any help.
Thank you, Naida. All right, I'm going to put the link one more time. Thank you, Anthony, for getting it done. We have 9 surveys so far. And for the returning participants, thank you for coming every month. I see very familiar names, a lot of familiar names. Oh, Shamira is saying feel
No,
better.
yeah.
Oh, thank you, Shamira. Shamira always got all the best remedies. I'm just gonna, you make, Shamira, I know that you're probably younger than me or we're more or less the same age, but you give me my grandma vibes. Like everyone will just call you like, oh, feel good. What should I drink? Shamira's a healer. She's a healer.
Well, now you got to listen to her advice, Nida, which is drink tea. So we'll check in with you in the morning to see if you drank your tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, Crystal gets on me too. She's always like, "You gonna rest? Are you gonna rest? Have you taken your vitamin C, your energized?"
All right, we have 12 surveys filled up, so we can go ahead and continue.
All right. As we get ready to head out, here are a few announcements coming up. We would love for you to RSVP for the next living room on February 18th. As I mentioned, the topic will focus on the CPS and CTU negotiations. We'll be breaking down the ongoing CPS and Chicago Teachers Union negotiations and highlight what these talks mean for you and your children. Also, feel free to invite K1C to deliver this presentation to your parent network. If you have any parents who are curious about the representatives in their district, the details of each district, I would love to come and give you all this presentation. And then finally, sign up to speak at the next board meeting. Sign-ups, like we said, begin on Tuesday, January 28th to speak and observe at the January 30th board meeting starting at 10:30 a.m. The form for support is in the chat, so feel free to fill out that form and have the lovely Nida support you in coming up with a speech for our next board meeting.
All right, perfect. So now we are at the raffle portion. Oh, I see Latrice actually raised her hand. I'm gonna allow her to talk to see if she. Go ahead, Latrice.
Hello.
Hello, we can hear you.
Hi, Armani. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to tell Armani, can you give me a call when you get a chance, please?
Me?
Yeah, yes, my little bug.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and start the raffle. I typically do not share my screen just because I have technical difficulties in regarding to sharing. So what I do is I take a picture of the winner and I'll show you, and then I also attach it to the follow-up email. I'm gonna go ahead and review the names that I recorded when I was taking attendance for today. If I miss your name, please let me know in the chat so then I can add you before the raffle begins. I have Anthony Garcia, April Smith, Baltasar Enriquez, Brenda Rivera, Carrie Gladsby, Estela Holloway, Jasmine Camarena, Kamaria Powell, Christian Armendariz, Latrice Pittman, Maria Navarrete, Marla Slaughter, Ophelia Carmona, Olufi Sayo, Paula, Shamira, Vidriana, and Yadira Trinidad. Is there anyone that I might have missed? You put your name in the chat or, all right, Yadira, I see. All right, I have you. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start the raffle. I think I got everyone. And I'm gonna be raffling 2 gift cards. 2 $25 gift cards. All right. The first winner is Viridiana Soriano. This is the first winner.
Viridiana, congrats.
You have to be present. So you could put present or here to claim your prize. Viridiana.
I think
Oh,
she
I
might
think
have logged off.
she had just logged off.
Oh no. Okay, so I'm gonna
No,
go
don't
ahead.
do Viridiana like that. No, I'm just kidding.
The rule of the game.
I
Here left, not so happy up in here. I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna
Alrighty, we're re-raffling the first card. Shout out to her for attending though. Alright. The first card goes to Olufiyaso. Apologies if I said your name incorrectly. All right, are you here with us? Yes, awesome.
Yay.
Congratulations on your gift card. You will receive it virtually, so it's gonna be in your email. All right, so then the second winner is $25 gift card, Amazon. It's gonna be to Latrice. Latrice,
Hey,
that's
congrats,
the gift
Latrice.
card.
Lucky lady.
Just put here in the comments so we know that you're present.
Yep, she's here.
Yes. All right.
All
So
right.
thank you to the winners of the gift cards. Thank you to the new members that are joining our network of parents, and thank you for the returning parents as well. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye. Thank you so much for coming.
Bye, everyone. Have a good evening.
Bye. All right, I'm gonna go
I'm
ahead
gonna
and
call you to let you know how to use your gift card if you're still here.